What's going on, guys? It's Steven again and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to be discussing our IV training, and I'm going to walk you guys through the process of making quite complicated spreads, IV spreads, without the use of vitamins. That's the big one. There are a lot of guys who just tell you, okay, you just buy 10 HP ups and you put them in a Pokemon and you've got 100 IVs in HP. This is not that kind of video. We are going to go over the IV training with wild encounters. So as you can see, I've got one example up here. We've got Grookey, and we're gonna be training him up, and we're gonna be making a complex IV spread for a Rillaboom. I've got an example that I'm gonna be popping up on the screen right now. As you can see, we are gonna be making a complicated spread here for our Rillaboom friend. I'm just gonna open it up. So as you can see, we've got max HP. That is not that difficult, obviously, to make. Then we've got 20 points in our attack stat. We've got 116 in our physical defense. We've got 76 special defense for potentially a AV set if you run 4 attacks. And then we've got a little bit of speed in 44. Now, this is just an example spread. I'm not telling you guys that you should use this spread for your Rillabooms. This is just purely based on the purpose of this video. This could be a decent set because Rillaboom has a great attack stat, so you don't need to invest that much in it. With the Adamant Nature and the 20 IVs, EV points that we are going to be adding to that, he is going to be having a 162 attack stat at level 50, which is quite decent, and he's got quite some significant amount of bulk. With the 207 HP at level 50, that's quite bulky. Base 100 there. Base 90 and 70 defenses. So 116 in the physical defense is going to result in a 125 defense stat. And then the 70 base special defense is going to finish up at 100 special defense when level 50 with that IV investment, with that EV investment. Sorry, we don't need to make it more confusing than it already is. If you don't know what IVs and EVs are, leave it in the comments down below. We could make a separate video to dive into that mechanics if you do not understand these kind of things. But in this video, I'm going to be discussing over these things as you know what you are going into. You know what I'm talking about, if you know what I mean. You know what an EV and an IV is. EV stands for effort values, IV stands for individual values, but that is again for another video if you do not know what that means. So we are going to take this spread and we are going to make our Rillaboom set around this. So this is what you do. First, you need to pick your Pokemon, obviously. In my case, for this video, this is going to be the Rillaboom. So we need a Grookey. We've got the Adamant Nature. We've already bred that. Obviously, Overgrow is the only ability at the moment for Grookey. If you need a different ability, obviously that is before you start IV training or EV training. Sorry, I'm gonna keep messing that up, which is not gonna help for the purpose of this video. You need to obviously have your Pokemon bred properly before you start EV training. Your IVs need to be perfect as well, because that's what you want for your competitive Pokemon. As you can see right here, the Adamant Nature on the Grookey with the 5 best IVs stats, and the special attack does not matter because that's the negative nature stat, and we are not going to be taking advantage of Grookey's special attack, which is base 60, which is obviously not going to be viable for Grookey or Rillaboom. So, first up, we are going to go over a certain number of Pokemons which we are going to be using for our EV training. So, for our HP, I tend to use Noctowls or Wobbuffet. For the purpose of this video, I will select one of these 2 Pokemon and I will show you guys, because we are going to be investing our EVs into HP. So we are going to go and look for Noctowls and Wobbuffet for the HP stat. Now in this video I will be using Pokemon, and I will give you examples of Pokemon who give 2 EVs per kill. So if you knock this Pokemon out, you get 2 EV points. Now, that is very important. I only use Pokemon who grant 2 EV points per knockout. So do not use 1 IVs, because that is going to prolong the EV training, and we want to make this as short as possible. Now, that out of the way, we want to be using those 2 EV points per kill. If you don't know how to research this, you can find it on cerebi.net, the website that contains a ton of Pokemon information. Link, as always, in the description. And you can go to your Pokedex for Sword and Shield, and you can actually select the Pokemon based on the effort values they give when you knock them out. So you get a complete list. If you select, for example, HP, you get a complete list of a rundown of Pokemon that give HP points when fainting, and it also states the amount of EVs you're going to be getting. So if you are going to be getting 1 stat, it's going to show 1. If you're going to get 2 or 3, it's going to show 2 or 3. Knocked Out and Wobbuffet are obviously, as I already said, 2 HP points per kill. You do not want Pokemon that give more than 1 stat, because that could lead to complications when you are moving on to different stats, because you just want to be focusing on 1 stat at a time. There are Pokemon, for example, that you could potentially use when they give 2 stats you both want to be training, but that is very complicated, and you do not want to mess up your EV training, and just stay away from that. Just keep to the 1 stat per Pokemon. So Knocked Out and Wobbuffet are the examples for the HP stat. Before we go any further, guys, I forgot to mention the Pokéros, which is very important. Can you see the pink symbol there beneath level 1 in the top right corner? That means that this Pokemon is infected with the Pokéros. As you can see with Haxorus, it's a little bit of a tweak in terms of the symbol. This one has like a cross behind it, and Haxorus doesn't have it anymore. This means that Grookey still has the active Pokéros, which means this Grookey can spread it to a different Pokemon which doesn't have it. Like, for example, this Rotom, if I bring it into my party and I start battling with Grookey, no, not with Grookey, but with Grookey and this Rotom in my party, eventually this Rotom will get infected by the Grookey. Haxorus doesn't have the cross behind it anymore, so he cannot infect a different Pokemon anymore. How do you go from the active virus to the non-active virus then? If you keep Grookey in your party, which means in your active party, not in your PC box, if you keep it in your active party and you let the day go by, so when it hits 12 o'clock at night, Grookey will become will move from the active to the non-active Pokéros virus. That's basically the gist of it. Now, what Pokéros does is it doubles the effort values that you get from beating a Pokemon. So, as we were discussing earlier, we are going for our HP right now, which means Noctowl and Wobbuffet were my examples to go with, because they grant 2 EV points per kill. Pokéros is going to double that and make that 4 EV points, which is very important because we are always working with numbers that are divided or able to be divided by 4. As you can see with the HP stat, it doesn't really matter, we just need to max out the stat. But with more complex EV stats or effort valued stats, like for example the defense is 116, which is divided by 4 easily. So that is very important, and that is the reason why I use the 2 points per kill Pokemons, because that is going to be very important. Because on to the next step, we are going to have a look at the power items, which are very essential. I told you at the start of this video, guys, that the vitamins were not in this video, so protein and all that stuff is not going to be in this video, but you are going to be needing these items, because the items are definitely going to speed up the EV training. If you can still EV train your Pokemons without the items, but I highly recommend getting the items and just using your battle points once for every item. You just need them once, because you can just train your Pokemon separately. If you want to be IV training or EV training your Pokemon at the same time, you could consider buying a second item or a third item, but that is definitely not something I recommend for this video. For example, I only have one of each. I don't really need more than one, because I just do one Pokemon at the time. That keeps it easier to navigate these complex stats sometimes. So the power weight, it reduces your speed and allows your HP to grow more. So this item is going to give your Pokemon extra effort values when knocking out a Pokemon. It is basically gonna be putting your effort values from 4 to 20. So with this item on, you're gonna be getting 20 EV points per Wobbuffet or Noctowl or whatever Pokemon for HP you want to be using. Of course, it needs to grant 2 EV points per kill, but that is going to boost up from 4 or 2 actually, because you get 2 times plus 2. You're gonna double that because of the Pokerus, so it goes to 4, and then it goes to 20 because of this power item. If you do not use this item, because basically this is going to be plus 8. Now the way it works, every item, power item, is going to give you 8 extra EV points per kill. So with the Noctowl or the Wobbuffet, which grants 2 EV points per kill, it is going to boost that up from 2 plus 8 to 10, and then the Pokerus virus is going to double that stat, because that's what Pokerus does. It doubles the EV points per kill. It's going to double the 10 to 20. So you've got 20 EV points per Noctowl or Wobbuffet that you are going to be knocking out. So I'm going to give my Grookey the power item, and we are going to start our EV training for HP. Now the next item is the power belt. This is for defense. You've got the power band, it's for special defense. You've got the anklet, which gives speed. We've got the lens, which grants special attack, and the bracer, which gives you the physical attack. So that's the power items and the Pokerus out of the way. Now let's jump into our actual EV training. Now I've had to move out from the wild area, and I am currently at route number 5, which is where Wobbuffet spawns in the wild. Normally I do this in the wild area, but I just ran around the entire area and I couldn't find any Wobbuffets or Noctowl. So that is very inconvenient for this video, because I never encountered that problem, to be honest. I've always done my Wobbuffets and Noctowls in the wild area, but due to weather, Pokemon spawns do change. Now let's start and EV train our Grookey. We are going to be knocking out 13 Wobbuffets, because 13 times 20 is 260, and you can only have a maximum amount of 252 per stat. So it doesn't matter if you go over it, because you can't go over it. It just caps off at the 252. So I'm gonna make a quick cut here and get my Grookey up to maxed HP. Okay guys, we are back and we are just going to finish up our HP EV training. This is the final Wobbuffet. This is number 13, and if you paid attention to the first Wobbuffet that we knocked out, you saw that I had exactly 13 Dragon Claws, and now I am using my final Dragon Claw. It was a coincidence that I had 13 Dragon Claws, not that I purposely used 2 Dragon Claws before starting my EV training. But you can obviously do that to keep track of your kills. because it's very important that you knock out the exact number that you want to be knocking out, because that is going to determine your EV training. As you can see by the sparkles around the HP stat, that means that you have fully maxed out a stat. This is obviously in this case going to be the only stat that we are absolutely maxing out, because the rest of these stats are divided. Now we move on to our next stat, which is going to be our attack stat, which we have 20 EV points we want to be investing in, and we're gonna be popping up the attack Pokemons that we are going to be using, which is Golurk and Machoke. So I am going to make my way. Before I go to the next Pokemon, I am going to switch my power item. I'm going to give the Power Bracer to Thwackey. As you can see, my Grookey has evolved into a Thwackey. So now he is holding the proper item for the attack EV training. We are going to move back over to the wild area, as we saw that there were Machokes. So we are going to be using Machokes for my EV training, and by knocking out the one Machoke, we are going to be getting 20 attack EV points. Oh, now there's Wobbuffet spawning here in the wild area. This is usually where I knock out my Wobbuffets. I couldn't find them earlier, but now they're here. And obviously now I can't find my Machokes, which is hilarious that they are not spawning right now. Snowy weather. There he is. One Machoke. That's all we need, and then we can move on to the physical defense. So just knocking out this one Machoke with the power item is going to grant me the 20 EV points in attack that we are going for on this set. And we can move on to the 116 in the physical defense. And for the physical defense, we are going to be targeting two Pokemon again, which is not going to be this Snorunt, which is going to be Galarian Weezing or Sudowoodo. Now I can already tell you guys that Sudowoodo is not currently spawning in the wild area, because snowy weather is seriously hurting my spawns. But for the physical defense, I usually go for the Galarian Weezing, because Sudowoodo I think only spawns when it's sunny or strong sunny weather. So I'm going to move over for the Galarian Weezings into route number 1. Or not really route number 1, but we are going to fly back to our home. And we are going to go for the Galarian Weezings, which are in this forest. We have to make our way to the Galarian Weezings, but we do get a wild encounter, Squobet. So with the 116 it becomes a bit more complex, you think, because we are going for 20 EV stats per kill. So we need to knock out 5 with the item, and then we are going to unequip the item and do another 4 for the remaining 16. I think I'm almost at the Weezing spawns. Okay, we've got a Weezing here, but we haven't equipped our power item yet, so I can't knock this Weezing out, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have to run away from this one. And we are going to switch our power items, which is so important, guys. I cannot stress this enough, because I've made mistakes with the items as well. So we are gonna go for the power belt onto the Thwackey, switch them around, and now he's holding the proper physical defense power item. And there's the first Weezing. So we need to knock out 5 Weezings with the power item, which is gonna grant us 100 physical defense EVs, and then we are going to be knocking out another 4 without the item, because without the item, as you remember from the start of the video, we are going to be getting 4 EV points per kill, which means 4 times 4 is 16, so 100 plus 16 is 116, which is what we are going for. So this was the first Weezing that we killed. We need another 4 with the item, obviously. I'm gonna make a quick cut again, and I will see you when I finish up these 5 first Weezings, and then we are going to unequip the item, and we are going to do another 4. So I'll see you in a second here. So guys, we have just finished up our 5th Weezing. I am going to take off the item now and do another 4 without for the remaining 16 of our IVs, or our EV spread here. So I'm going to quickly show you guys my PP for poison jab. We started at 18 poison jabs. Now we should be at 13 because we knocked out 5. So now we need to do another 4. So we need to finish up our poison jabs at 9 PP. Now do keep count, guys, because if you lose count, you do not know how many EV points you're going to be ending up on, and you don't want that, because you want to be following your EV spread that you just mapped out before you started. Now, how do I map out my EV points? Sometimes I do calculate certain stuff at certain EV points. So for example, for competitive BGC, you could be in a situation where your Hitmontop, for example, Hitmontop is a Pokemon I use on my VGC team quite a bit, so I want to be living a Moonblast from a Whimsicott, so I go into the Pokemon Showdown calculator and I calculate how much special defense or HP investment I do need to live the certain move. And you could basically build your EVs around the calculations you've done in advance, because you know the meta game is revolving around a pool of Pokemon that are pretty common. So when you play around in that VGC metagame for a while, you'll know what you'll be coming up against. So you can specifically EV train your Pokemon to lift certain hits or to outspeed certain Pokemon. So that is very important when building your Pokemon, your EV spreads. That is why EVs are so important, because it could make the difference in winning or losing a battle, basically, or living a hit or dying from a hit. So I believe this is the final Weezing we have to kill. We just rambled on a bit and we done 4 kills. If I'm not mistaken, yep, this is the final one. So we can move on to the next stats. We killed the Weezing. Now, we don't obviously need special attack investment, because we had a spread without special attack. But for the purpose of this video, this is obviously a guide. We are going to show you the special attack mons anyway. So on screen right now, you're going to be seeing Lunatone and Maractus, which are the Pokemon I usually use for the special attack. Now, unfortunately, Lunatone is a Pokemon Shield exclusive, so Pokemon Sword users, I am sorry, you will not be able to use Lunatone for your special attack investment. Lunatone is a very helpful Pokemon, in fact, for the special attack investment. I always use Lunatone. I don't really use Maractus, because again, Maractus is depending on the weather, which is something that you've heard me say in this video for quite some times. So I'm going to show you guys, for the Pokemon Shield users, where you can actually find the Lunatones. So this is where Lunatone spawns. There are always 2 spawns right here, and you can just do your special attack training here. Maractus, again, it involves the weather. If I'm not mistaken, I saw some Maractus earlier around this area where the sun is up. When the snow stops and the sun comes out, the Maractus also start to spawn. Yep, here are Maractus right now in the sunny weather, which give 2 special attack points per kill. But as we do not need our special attack points because we have a adamant nature, we are going to move on to the special defense. Now the special defense, I'm only going to be using one example, which is Mantine, because Mantine is always available. I am going to equip my power band item to my Thwackey, which is going to give me that 20 special defense per knockout. So I'm going to make my way into the Mantine spawns, which are in the water. Obviously, I usually go around Lake of Outrage. But you can find Mantines pretty much anywhere in the water. Mantine, I believe, is also a guaranteed spawn, doesn't matter what weather. Here is one. Mantine gives, again, 2 EV points per kill, so plus 8 is 10 times 2 with the Pokerest, gives us 20 EV points per Mantine that we knock out, and we need to be knocking out 3 with the item and then again 4 without to get our specific EVs correct. I am not sure if a poison gap will kill this. Okay, it will kill. Mantine is obviously more specially defensive, hence why he gives special defense EV points when knocking out. We do not want to learn Slam, and for example, Jellicent here also gives special defense. I haven't included Jellicent in my list because I usually just run off with the Mantines, because Jellicent isn't a frequently spawning Pokemon. Frillish, for example, is always spawning, but you can knock out Jellicents as well for the special defense points. So this is our second one. We need one more, and then we need the item to be unequipped, as the sun all of a sudden comes out and makes my face go completely white. This Jellicent actually lived the poison jab apparently. Wow, he lived it quite easily. That's crazy, dude. This is a Haxorus. He's got 40 levels on this Jellicent. My goodness. Obviously, this Haxorus is a set involving Dragon Dance, so you are basically want to be setting up that +1/+1 and then sweep from there. The only negative I would say about the Mantines is that you have to catch these when they fly out the water. I missed it. So that's the only negative. So this is my third Mantine, and then we need to unequip our item. Haxorus breaks the mold. So we are slowly finishing off our EV training here. I really hope that you guys understand what I'm trying to say. If there are any questions, definitely leave it in the comments down below, because I will happily answer your questions. We're gonna take our item off, and we are gonna do another 4 kills for the remaining 16 EVs. Sorry, I just keep messing that up, dude. I know it's gonna be confusing for the viewers, but you know what I mean. Again, if you don't know what the difference is between IVs and EVs, definitely do leave it in the comments, and we can make a explanation video on those two terms, because it's pretty important that you know what you are talking about. And I know it seems like I don't know what I'm talking about because I keep switching them around, but I'm seriously, I know what I'm talking about. I'm just messing up the terms. IV and EV, they do look similar, and you pronounce them almost the same way. Individual or effort values, again, that's what it stands for. The Mantikes that are also here, they only give 1 point, So you could use them, but again, as I said in the start of this video, we don't want to be going with the 1 EV points per kill. We want to be going with the 2, because what that does is when you are going with the item on, with the power item on, you're going to be getting 1 plus 8 is 9. Times 2 is 18, and 18 is not a nice number to work around, and you are not going to be able to get these complex stats right, and you need to get them right because it's very important. If you get your EV spreads wrong, that could basically cost you 1 or 2 points in certain stats. You need to mess around with Showdown a little bit, and you will find out that sometimes when you put a extra 2 or 4 points into a certain stat, that it won't put your stat up a point, if you know what I'm saying. For example, we are going for 76 EV points in our special defense, which is going to put us up to 100. And I'm not on Showdown right now, so I can't really test it out, but it could be that if you put another 2 or 4, you can't put 2 in. No, you can't put 2 in. But if you were to finish up your speed, for example, and you messed up your EVs, and you are left with 46 speed points, for example, and you then max out your speed, that is actually not going to put your speed at 112. It's just going to put your speed at 111. And you're basically losing out on a stat in speed, but also in a different stat, because, or not really in speed, you're going to be going with the 111 speed, which is at 44 your speed, but at 46 your speed is still going to be 111, and you're going to miss out on 1 stat point in a different stat where you missed out on. I know it's a lot to take in if you don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we finished up our EVs on the special defense, and we are now going to move on to the speed, in fact. And for speed, I usually have only 1 Pokemon again. I use the Galarian Mr. Mime. I think that is a very nice Pokemon to train your speed on, and it is not in the wild area. You are going to have to go and fly out to Route 10, which we are going to be doing right now. So Mr. Mime, for speed, it is right here. You just fly out here, and Mr. Mime should be starting to spawn as this Sneasel attacks me, which we don't want. We don't want this Sneasel to be attacking us. We want to be going for those Galarian Mr. Mimes, and we need to knock out 2 Mr. Mimes with the item and then 1 without the item. I'm going to do it that way so I can show you guys that I finished up my EV training properly, because in theory you could just use you could just let your power item be on and then just do 3 kills as well, which is going to result in you finishing off your speed as well, because you can't get more EVs than there are available. We don't have our item on right now, so I'm going to start the Mr. Mimes with the kill without the item, and then I'm going to equip the item, and we're going to do the remaining 2 kills for the remaining 40 EVs that we still need. And I'm going to show you guys, after knocking out these 2 Mr. Mimes, that you can actually see in your stats that you finished off your EV training. I'll show you guys right now real quick, because I'm not going to be able to show you this after I've killed these 2 Mr. Mimes. So in your stats, you're going to be pressing the X button, and it's going to show you your stats. We've got maxed speed, maxed special attack on this Haxorus. If I go to this Thwackey, you can see that the inside of the stats is a different color. With the Haxorus, it's a light bluish color, or silver, white, whatever. And with the Thwackey, it is a dark yellow color. When it's dark yellow, you know that you can still get stats. You can still gain EVs. When it's blue or white or whatever, that means that you have finished off your EV training. That means you do not have any remaining EVs that you can put into a stat. So that is important to know. So you know when your Pokemon is done. So we need 2 more Mr. Mimes here, and then we will see that our stats with the Thwackey have changed from that dark yellow or orange color into the light blue or white, which we saw with the Haxorus. So my Haxorus, you saw, had a pretty normal maxed speed, maxed attack, spread. It is a Pokemon that I transferred with Pokemon Home. I think I did it in Alpha Sapphire, if I'm not mistaken. I think I bred this in Alpha Sapphire. This is when I just started getting into competitive, and my spreads were pretty much always maxed speed, maxed attack, maxed special attack, or maxed defenses, because that at the moment was the easiest, and I was just getting into competitive. So this is the final Mr. Mime. So our Thwackey should now finish off his EV training, and he should have all his EVs into the stats that we want, as Thwackey is going to evolve, which is fitting because it's the end of our training. We've got our Rillaboom. I think that this might be a dex entry because I haven't trained. Yep, this is actually going to be a dex entry, which is nice. We knocked that out of the park as well. Rillaboom wants to learn Drum Beating. We are going to quickly put that on his move pool, move set, whatever, so we don't have to come back to get that move. And he's got it on there right now. So we are going to have a look at our Rillaboom now. We can take off the item. We're going to go into his stats. Nope. And as you can see, somewhere I messed up because his stats are not maxed out. Now, this is a good example of what can happen. I'm not sure where it went wrong, but I am going to compare these stats now with the stats that we have on Showdown. I mean, this is obviously a good example. I could have miscalculated on the speed perhaps. Maybe I still need to knock out another Mr. Mime. But I have my set on Showdown right now open. And I am just going to switch it up because you can select the level at Showdown. So I'm just going to put this at level 35, and I'm going to compare the stats to what Showdown says they should be and what I'm seeing on my screen right now. So Showdown says that my HP needs to be at 147, which is exactly what we are seeing here. Our attack should be 115, which is what we are seeing. Physical defense should be at 89, which is correct. Then the special attack should be 51, which is obviously what we are seeing here. The special defense is 71, and then the speed is also 79. So I'm not sure what is wrong here then. I think it's not gonna matter, or I miscalculated on the Mantikes or the Mantines. We are just gonna level this thing up to level 50 right now and compare, because I'm not sure where I miscalculated my kills. Sometimes I do run into this issue. So for this video, I'm going to quickly level this Rillaboom up to level 50. We don't want to be going over 50, so I don't want to just smack a load of XP on there. So I want to be going with some candy on Rillaboom. Level 47. Wants to learn Woodhammer. I'm not sure if I want to keep that on this set, but I'm just going to put it on there real quick. So 3 more levels. We don't need that much experience anymore. 48. This should do it. No, it shall not. One last candy on the Rillaboom. Okay, we're gonna have to do one more. Okay, we're at 50 now. Now let's compare these stats, because sometimes at level 30 or a lower level than 50, it could differentiate from level 50 the stats, but I'm gonna quickly compare them right now. So 207 HP, 162, 125, 72, which could just mean that my stats I don't have 31 IVs, that's the point. We'll move on. I don't want to confuse you guys even more. So we've got 100 special defense and a 111 speed. So I'm not sure if I miscalculated there, but it could just be that at level 50 those stat distributions are a little bit different. But we perfectly trained our Rillaboom to the set we wanted to train it to. I'm going to leave a screenshot of the set from the Rillaboom on screen at the moment, so you can just compare and see that we have the same stats as the Rillaboom that we created on Showdown, on the EV spread that we created there. Do not mind the special attack. Special attack is one stat below what Showdown says, because Showdown defaults the special attack to 31 IVs, and at the start of the video we showed the IVs that this Rillaboom or this Grookey had, and special attack is not maxed, so it is not a 31 IV stat. So the EVs, the IVs or the stat eventually is going to be lower than the 72. It is actually 71. 72 is the IVs at 31 and not at 28 or something along those lines, which is very good. This is going to be a rambly part of the video. Don't mind me. Do leave a like and a comment on if you think this guide explained everything you needed to know, because we did IV train this Rillaboom without vitamins, and I hope I explained it in a way that you all understand. I gave you the examples of the Pokemons that I use, and you could use different Pokemons. Don't get me wrong, you can definitely use different Pokemons, but I try to use the same Pokemons, and I know where those Pokemons are. So depending on the weather, obviously in the wild area, that is heavily going to influence your spawns there. But with that, I'm going to wrap up this EV training guide without the use of vitamins, and I hope you guys learned a thing or two and enjoyed this video. So definitely leave a like and a comment down below on the video what your thoughts are, and if you want to see that IV or IV/EV explanation guide, leave that down below as well, and I'm gonna catch you guys in another video. Bye bye.